Ever find yourself thinking, man, I wish I had an AI for this? For some project or idea you've had kicking around. Well, get this. What if building your own AI was actually, like, totally doable?
Like without needing a massive budget or, a whole team of engineers.
Exactly. And that's what we're diving deep into today.
The evolving world of AI development.
Yeah, and the big question we're going to tackle, can smaller, less expensive AI models actually hold their own against, like, the big guys?
Right.
Like those created by OpenAI and such.
Right. It's a question a lot of folks are asking these days. And, well, some recent research suggests the answer might be yes.
Absolutely. And the research we're digging into today centers around this model called S1.
Developed by some pretty sharp minds over at Stanford and the University of Washington.
And, okay, get this. They're claiming they built this thing, this S1, that's supposedly rivaling OpenAI's reasoning models in just 26 minutes.
26 minutes.
For under $50.
Wow, under $50. That's like less than a takeout meal these days. Seriously.
It's wild, right? Like 26 minutes. I spend longer just trying to figure out what to have for dinner.
No kidding. That's incredibly fast and cost effective. So how did they pull that off?
Well, that's where this thing called distillation comes in.
Ah, yes. Distillation. It's a fascinating process. Imagine you have, let's say, a really intricate recipe, right?
Yeah.
With tons of steps and ingredients, but you want to simplify it, make it more accessible.
Like a cheat sheet for amazing cooking.
Exactly. Distillation in AI is kind of like creating that cheat sheet. It's taking the essence of a larger, more complex model and condensing it down.
Okay, so it's like taking, say, Google's Gemini 2.0 flash thinking experimental model, which I hear is incredibly complex, and distilling its knowledge into a smaller, more manageable package. Like a Cliff's Notes version of a super advanced AI.
Precisely. The smaller model, in this case S1, observes the outputs of the larger model and learns to kind of mimic its reasoning process. It becomes a streamlined version, you could say.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense. But hey, speaking of Google, there's this interesting tidbit in the research about their terms of service.
Oh, right. The terms of service.
Yeah, apparently they specifically forbid using their models to train competitors. Kind of ironic, don't you think? Using Google's own model to potentially create a rival.
It definitely highlights the complexities, I guess you could say, of navigating this rapidly evolving field of AI, especially within existing legal frameworks. You see, Google's terms of service are understandably designed to protect their investments. But in a field as dynamic and, frankly, as unpredictable as AI, the lines can get a bit blurry.
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely food for thought, but maybe a bit of a rabbit hole for our deep dive today. So let's shift gears a bit. What else is there about this S1 model that really stands out?
Well, one thing that really caught my eye is that it's built on top of an open source model.
Open source, you mean anyone can access it and tinker with it?
Exactly. It's called Qwen 2.5, and it comes from Alibaba Cloud.
Alibaba Cloud. Interesting. Okay, so they use this open source model as a foundation, and then they did the whole distillation thing with the Google model.
Yes, precisely.
Yeah.
And here's another fascinating thing. The researchers discovered that training S1 with a relatively small data set, only 1,000 questions, actually yielded better results than using a massive data set.
Wait, hold on. Isn't the whole point of AI, like, feed it tons of data and it gets smarter? I thought more data always equals better results. Why would a smaller data set be better in this case?
That's a very common misconception. People think just throw as much data at the AI as possible and it'll magically become super intelligent. But in reality, data quality trumps quantity almost every time. Think of it this way. Let's say you're trying to train an AI to analyze legal documents.
Okay, legal documents, got it.
Now, if you were to feed it every single law book ever written, every legal document you could find, it would be completely overwhelmed.
Right, it would be like drinking from a fire hose.
Exactly. But instead, if you curate a smaller, focused data set of, say, key case precedents, the most relevant information for that specific task, it would learn much more effectively.
Ah, so it's about being strategic with the data, not just throwing a data party for the AI.
Precisely. It's all about focusing on the right information.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, there's one more thing I got to ask about. This test timescaling thing. What in the world is that?
Okay, so imagine you're trying to solve a really complex problem, right?
Like figuring out how to file my taxes.
Sure, or maybe something even more complicated, and you rush to get to an answer.
Because I hate doing taxes.
Right, but in that rush, you might overlook crucial details. Now, test time scaling is like forcing the model to pause, to take a breath and reevaluate its thought process.
Like making it double-check its work before hitting submit?
Precisely. It's all about slowing down to think things through more carefully.
Hmm. But wouldn't that significantly slow down the AI? Isn't there a trade-off between speed and accuracy?
There can be, absolutely. But what's fascinating is that, in this case, the researchers found that this pause, this moment of reflection, actually led to more accurate results.
Wait, so slowing it down actually made it smarter?
In a way, yes. And they achieved this by simply adding the word wait to the model's responses.
Seriously, just adding the word wait.
Yep. It forces the model to pause before giving its final answer, giving it more time to process and refine its reasoning.
Wow, that's incredible. It's amazing how such a seemingly small tweak can have such a profound impact. And you mentioned earlier that as one was able to outperform OpenAI's model on certain math problems, I mean, that's no small feat. So what does all of this mean for the future of AI development? Could this, like, change the game?
It certainly has the potential to be a game changer. These findings challenge the prevailing assumption that only these giant tech companies, the Googles and OpenAIs of the world, can create truly cutting-edge AI.
Right, it's always felt like this exclusive club.
Exactly. But smaller, more efficient models like this S1 could democratize AI development.
Democratize. So you're saying that someone like me, or anyone listening, could potentially experiment with building AI?
Exactly. It could open up the field to a much broader range of researchers, developers, even, hobbyists. You could potentially create AI tools tailored to your specific needs without needing the massive resources of a Google or an OpenAI.
Wow, that's really exciting. It feels like AI is suddenly within reach, not just this distant thing controlled by tech giants. So for those of you listening out there, think about it. How could smaller, more specialized AI models be used in your field?
What kind of problems could you solve? What kind of innovation could you unlock?
Exactly. The future of AI might be a lot closer and a lot more diverse than we ever imagined. And that's something worth exploring, don't you think?
Absolutely. It's a truly exciting time to be in this field.
Couldn't agree more. It's like the Wild West of tech right now. Well, that's all the time we have for today's deep dive. But hey, keep those AI dreams alive, folks. Who knows? You might be the next one to shake up the industry with a brilliant idea and a little bit of code.
And a whole lot of ingenuity.
Exactly. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Until next time.